Oh, Taj.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? How do you pronounce your name?
Tajma.
Tajma. Nice to meet you. I'm Derek.
Hi, Derek.
Hi. How are you? I heard you were maybe going to be starting this week, and now it's next week or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be next week.
Very
It's
cool.
a rough week for me right now, but it'll bypass over by next week.
Well, I'm happy to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
This is the first time we're doing it on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
One on Zoom, and then number two in a long, long time. Like we used to do them in person, like when we were, normal
Mm-hmm.
capacity and all that stuff pre-COVID. So we'll see if a few people pop on here. Yeah, we've been doing, here's Diane. We've been doing Saturday mornings. We've tried, what did we do last week? We did Tuesday night last week. That had a big group. Guys, I'll be back in just one second. Let me grab a charger. Hi, Diane. I heard the blender. Who's got that? All right, guys. So everybody's muted right now, but I'm going to unmute you all real quick. I would like to know just if anybody has experience with macros. So what I'm going to do is I will like unmute person by person. I'll call your name. You can keep your camera obviously muted. I just want to have an idea of like where we're starting with. All right. So I'm gonna make a funny face because it always stops my video in a weird spot. All right. So Diane, you're the first person I have on here. Diane asked to unmute. If you could unmute, Diane.
Okay.
All right. Have you ever counted calories, done macros? I know you've been with us off and on for a long time. Like, what's been your style of preference?
I've been doing the macros for a while through the MyFitnessPal.
Cool. All right. And then as far as, have you ever done intermittent fasting?
I haven't. I'm real interested in that.
Very cool. I'm going to send you back on mute. Doug, I have you next, man. Doug asked to unmute. Next up will be Galaxy J3 Prime. I'm not sure who that is, but Doug, have you ever counted macros?
Never.
Never. Cool. Okay, this will be great for that part. And have you ever done intermittent fasting?
I have not.
Okay, cool. Perfect. I'll go ahead and throw you back on mute, man. That's great. That's a good starting spot. And nice to, I guess, digitally meet you here. All right, Galaxy J3 Prime.
Hey, Dee.
Oh, it's Marianne. What's up, buddy?
You?
How are you? Great, buddy. How are you?
Good. Long time no see. Hi, Diane. Hi, Kathy. Hi, everybody else.
I love it. All right. So I know you've counted macros for sure. Have you ever done intermittent fasting before?
I have.
Okay, cool. So with that, when was the last time you did it? Is this something you're frequently, or currently doing?
Sometimes by default on the weekends, not planned, just happens that way. Other times, okay. Yes.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
So it's a tool you use then. All right, going back on mute. Miss Kathy, unmuted. Thumbs up, intermittent fasting. I know you've done macros before. I know that for a fact. Nicole, fasting? You haven't? And intermittent fasting? You have. Cool. Who we got here coming on? This is a new face and it doesn't have a name. Esperanza, let's just do this. Oh, Loretta. Okay, cool. Esperanza, give me a thumbs up. Macros? Esperanza, can you hear me? All right, we're moving on. And Tajma, have you ever done macros or counted macros?
No.
There you go. No, okay, cool. We went through that. And I think that's the last person on here. Mary Beth, I know you. You're an expert at that. Mary Beth, intermittent fasting, yes or no? You have, cool. All right, guys, that's where we'll start off today. I just want to get an idea of like where we're starting from. We do have a few people that it's brand new for both subjects. So we'll start a little bit at the very beginning, and then we'll try and add on as quick as everybody feels comfortable. This is a way better camera, so I'll be looking here, but if you catch me looking over here, it's because I have like the Brady Bunch screen here, so I can like unmute you guys and that type of thing. All right, so when we're starting off, I think for everybody, especially the couple people who I have not met yet and we haven't worked with yet, the key thing to remember is no matter how deep and detailed we get today, if you don't just start with just making better choices, like you're going to fall off track eventually. So you just want to start with just eating better. Like you want to start with consistency. As far as counting calories and some of that stuff, like using MyFitnessPal helps, but then if it overwhelms you, remember, always just go back to just making better choices. So if you let that be your default, you're in a great spot. If all of a sudden tomorrow you're going to start counting macros and be an intermittent faster and do all this stuff, you can't use it as a crutch, okay? So this is going to be a tool you can use out of your garage that you can use to fix something, but it's not going to be the only thing that you lean on to do everything, okay? So a wrench does great for jobs that need a wrench, but you also don't want to use it as a hammer, okay? So it's going to be the same thing. When it works in the situation for you, let's do it. Exactly how Mary Beth said it. If you happen to be in a spot where intermittent fasting works for you on a particular day, then maybe it's a tool for you for that day. But don't feel like you have to be locked in any type of box. Don't make it an all or nothing. This is something to like experiment with. And if it's something that works for you, then you just hit like the unlock and you win, because the food side of it is the most important. So, all right, we're going here. No. All right, so we're going through, it was Loretta, Doug, and Tajma that were the ones that were newer to macros. So with this, what we're looking at when we're talking about macros is when people look at calories, they never know what they're talking about. So right now, normally how we do this, if we were live in a fun group here all at LiveFit, we'd ask like, what's the definition of metabolism? And the whole idea of that is it's the rate in which your body breaks down energy in order to sustain life. And so everybody focuses on the first part. And it's the breakdown of energy, and everybody focuses on how many calories they can take away and how many calories they can burn. So everybody focuses on that. But what comes after the comma is in order to sustain life. And when you start focusing on that, that makes you, instead of depriving yourself and starving yourself, it's like, well, what would feed myself? An apple might have sugar, but it's better than going and eating a Little Debbie. They might have the same amount of sugar, but just use common sense. If you're fueling your body and you use that as your first line of defense for everything, just always remember the definition of metabolism, because it's like the golden rule. Like if that's our goal in the end, it's not to be the best faster or the best macro counter or the best carb rotational diet or the best paleo, or you want to be healthy. Like the goal is to like live longer, but like good years. So like the whole idea is always go back to metabolism. How am I going to sustain life? And how am I going to use that energy most efficiently? Okay, so that's where we're going to start. When we get into counting calories, if I were to give you something and say, this snack right here is 100 calories, is it healthy or not? We'll go Loretta, thumb up, thumb down. Is 100 calories healthy? Thumb up, why? Hold on, let's unmute you. Nope, you got to unmute yourself, sorry. All right, so why is 100 calories healthy?
It depends on what it is that you're eating. Not for a meal, I wouldn't say it's healthy.
Okay, so how much calories for a meal would be good?
Well, I really don't count calories. I've always done like proteins and vegetables and light dressings and stuff like that I stay away from the fat-free because I know it has a lot of sodium in it.
Nice, and hidden sugar, yep, very good.
And if I do use fat-free, I drink a lot of extra water.
Okay, cool.
I use like 2 proteins, 3 vegetables, 3 fruits, and sometimes like a protein bar or 2 in between. And I've done it for a long time, and I've always maintained my weight, but I can't seem to take any off.
Cool.
Lately.
Well, that's so cool that that's your starting point though, because like it takes some people like forever to get to that point. So that's an awesome starting point. So all we have to do at that point then, so don't even, to me today, and maybe fasting you'll listen to and you're like, oh, that would work for me. But to me, I wouldn't even.
I do that now.
Okay, I was gonna say I wouldn't even listen to that part. Yeah, the macro part's gonna matter for you. So here's what you're gonna do is like, you're gonna take what you're eating an entire day, and then we're gonna find what you would need to make a deficit based on like when you wanna achieve how many pound goal. And so that'll really help us if you're very consistent with eating, that'll help track that. So let's get back to the 100-calorie example. So with 100 calories, you said depending if it's a snack or if it's a meal. I'm gonna give it to you the opposite way. It depends on what it's composed of and what you're about to do, okay? So every gram of protein, every gram of carbs, every gram of fat has a certain amount of calories. So every gram of protein and carbs has 4 calories every time there's a gram of it, except for alcohol would be the exception. Then fat has 9 calories. So you have 4 calories versus 9 calories for every gram of fat. So, but they all do different things. Protein is for like muscle building and strength and recovery. Carbs are for energy and moving, and fats are to sustain and hold you over and like basically prolong till like a next meal or that type of thing. So when you're looking at that, 100 calories then could be 25 grams of carbs, it could be 25 grams of protein, or it could be like 11 grams of fat. So it really comes down to, yes, what meal is it and what are you doing? But then it depends on like, what is it composed of? So I'll throw you back on mute, but thank you for like, that was great. Like basically that led to one thing, and then I'm gonna use your one thing you said as a next tip here. So perfect. So guys, use that example there with that 100 calories. And it could be anything. It could be 100, it could be 300, it could be 500. It doesn't matter where you're at. What you want to do is you want to look at what is upcoming. So it's the only time where it's important to look backwards in nutrition is like after a workout. After a workout, you want to make sure that you're going ahead and getting like, you know, some post-workout protein and making sure you're refueling the body. But otherwise, the rest of the day, you're looking forward. So nutrition is about forecasting. So when you're looking at that and you look at something like, let's call it a snack pack. So you see something that's 100 calorie like Ritz snack pack. And so you know that 100 calories is primarily going to be like 25 carbs would be a good guess. Then you have like a protein bar next to it. It says 100 calories. That might have like 15 protein, 5, 6 fat, and that composes your calories there. And then you might have a mixed bag of nuts, and it's one of the smaller bags, and it says 100 calories. So all 3 of those decisions are good choices, but it depends on what you're about to do next, okay? So we always use the fire analogy, and the fire analogy will help you also when it comes to macros. So if you're building a fire, your big, heavy, thick logs that get cut for you, delivered to your house if you live up north, they burn the cleanest, they burn the longest, most efficient. That's gonna be your protein. So a protein is great, it's a great fuel, but you also can't just take a lighter and start a fire with a log like that. You need kindling, you need heat, you need fuel. So that's where carbs come in. So carbs are like when you need to heat up the fire, when you're about to be active, when you're about to go work out, that's when you want to put some fuel on the fire. And so those examples would be like fruit would be like your lighter fluid and gas type. They're quick burning, they light up hot, but they don't last very long. Your other option would be more of like thicker sticks, thicker branches. That would be more like a sweet potato or brown rice because they're still a carb, but they have a lot more fiber, so it's a lot denser. So if you start thinking about what's coming up next and you start forecasting, then you don't always get so caught up on what's the calorie count, it's what's the macro count. How many carbs, how many proteins, how many fats, okay? So that's where I'd like to stop for a second. If anybody has any questions, unmute yourself. If for some reason you can't unmute, just raise your hand and then we'll go ahead and go from there. But is that making sense so far up to that point? Cool, cool, cool. Hi,
Hey,
Tajma Sharon.
Derek, I
Yeah,
have a
where's
quick
that coming
question.
from? Yes, Marianne, cool.
The carbs, okay? I know that the protein is for muscle strength and recovery and the fat sustains you, but what did you say about carbs?
All right, somebody, come on, what does it do? So they do 2 things. All right, Nicole, unmute.
They give you energy and keep you moving.
Thank you.
And what else? Hold on.
That's what you said. They give you energy and keep.
They make me
They make
happy.
They make you happy.
Well, who doesn't like a good pasta?
So they do the energy part, yes, of course, but they make you happy. Yeah. So remember, like carbs are a little quicker acting. Like you can't have a long sustainable fire overnight or for a prolonged period with just the sticks and the lighter fluid. It's hot, it burns up fast, it looks really cool. Have a redneck bonfire, but it doesn't survive off that. The other side of it is then you have like at the end of the night, you wet down that fire, you think it's completely hosed down, you see tons of billowing smoke, and you think it's good. And then you wake up the next morning and it's still burned all the way through and smoldered through the night. Those are fats. So fats take 3, 5, 6, 10 hours, depending on what you're having it with, to break down. So a lot of times too, you got to remember, like things like peanuts and nuts and almonds and those things have a lot of fiber attached with it. So you're not even getting like the crazy benefits of like the prolonged energy from the fats. You're also getting the benefit of the fiber with it. So it's one of those great universal snacks that really helps hold you over for prolonged times. Mary Beth, I think that's you. All right, cool. So we have like what, Nicole, I have me mute and I'm still getting all the Voxer alerts. Is that you too? Are you hearing it?
That's me. It's coming from me, I think. I'm trying to turn it off.
Oh, you're unmuted. I gotcha. I keep like trying to clear it out of here, but and I hear it echoing, of course. So once we know what they are, now we got to know, and then we know what they do. Now we got to know how many we need to have. So the whole idea is like it needs to be very specific. So, you know, Loretta's going to have different from Diane, who's going to have different from Marianne. The whole idea is like you in your head have an ideal shape of what you think you should be, but that sometimes always isn't realistic of what's possible underneath you. So what you have to realize is everybody has a skeleton, then you have some ligaments and tendons that are holding some muscles together, then you have your, you know, fat and water and all that stuff, and then you have some skin on top of it. Depending on how much layer is between that water and fat and that little area between there and the muscle, depends on obviously how long that transformation takes. The other part of it too is it depends on like what that shape is underneath. So for some of us, like we have broader hips and narrower shoulders, like you're not all of a sudden going to transfer that shape in a different direction. Where in turn, if you are somebody who has broad shoulders and whatever, like you're not going to completely change your shape. The way that you do that though is with your workouts, and you can't starve yourself to your perfect body. Okay. So what you need to remember is all you're doing with nutrition is you're working on that layer of water and fat in between the muscle and skin. The better you do that, the more nutritious you do it, and the less crazy and crash you do it, the better chance you have of that skin getting tight on that muscle and not being loose, not having dimples, having less cellulite, and some of those different things. Now, before we get too far, you want to remember that some of those things are also genetic. So if you are somebody that has cellulite, sometimes it's just always going to be there. If you are somebody that has loose skin to start and you lose 50 pounds, it's going to be loose. But the whole idea is the closer you lose it to the healthiest pace, your body's going to respect that same thing and tighten up. But you got to always remember, muscles respond a whole lot quicker than anything else. Your tendons and ligaments take a long time to catch up in your workouts. And then same thing, your skin takes a little bit longer to catch up to your muscles. So keep that part in mind. So the whole idea is you're trying to survive the skeleton muscle, those organs, and those muscles. So when we're doing our body fat percentage, to me, what you want to focus on most is LBM. So it's your lean body mass. Now, if you got your measurements done with Ashley 2-3 weeks ago, I guess now, if you got those done, you would go into your Fit Clients account and you go to the lean mass, or I think it says muscle, one of those two things. Click on that tab and it's going to give you actually your number of how much muscle out of your total body weight you have, okay? So let's use an example. Let's say that you have a 200-pound body weight, and let's say you have, let's go 30% body fat. So if that's your case, you have 140 pounds of LBM. So you're at 200 pounds, 30% of that is fat. So it'd be 60 total pounds. It's math, it's awesome. It's my favorite part, Nicole. So when we do this, remember that we're trying to make thrive and flourish the beautiful stuff and the beautiful human that you want to expose underneath. So the goal isn't to starve that person. The goal is to fuel that person. So what we do is we take that number, and my formula that I've always used is you multiply that number times 11. So say for instance, again, it was 140 pounds and you multiply it times 11. I think that puts you at 1540. When you do that, your 1540 then is your total overall calories for the day. Nicole, are you using a calculator right now? I saw your eyes go down. Oh. So when you get those total calories, like now you know your total fuel for the day. You know how much fuel you need to put in that fire. Now we got to figure out how that fire needs to be broken up and what needs to go in it. Okay. So how I always like to start everybody is 50% protein, 25% carbs, 25% fat. You don't have to be a math genius. You don't even have to know numbers. Just in MyFitnessPal, when you go into the goals section, you scroll it up and down like it's a slot machine and you find your percentages and it'll tell you the numbers for you. The biggest thing with MyFitnessPal, we can do another workshop on this another day, but you always make sure you press the check. I can't tell you how many messages we get of people saying it's not saving, it's not working. It's because people get excited and they push the back button or the back arrow and they never push the check. So like, I probably get that question more than anything else for MyFitnessPal. So again, if you're taking notes, 50% protein. So we're going to start with the goal is half of our nutrition for the day is protein. Okay. Think of that analogy as this. I think the whole analogy goes, you shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. Well, that's the stupidest thing ever because the stars are way freaking further away. But, so we're going to say you're going to aim for the stars for your protein, okay? So you're going to try for that big number of protein in a day. But if you fall short and land on the moon, then hey, you're the only person to do it for 40 years, okay? Or maybe ever, depending on what you believe. So the whole idea is your protein number is big. We're going to start with it big. You might not hit it. But if you do, you got a great thing to be like super happy about, okay? So 50% goes there. The next is 25% being carbohydrates, 25% being fats. When you figure out those numbers and you go through with that, what you're going to want to do is then you're going to take those numbers. So say you're allowed 80 grams of carbs a day, which is about probably what it'll be. To me, I would look at my schedule for the next day. Again, we forecast forward with nutrition. What am I doing? When's my workout? When's my busiest part of my workday? When is my highest activity level? And I want to break up my carbohydrates into those two most important times. If you know that you are somebody who's busy all day long, you might break it up into 3 or more portions throughout the day. But it really depends on you. So that's why nutrition's so specific. Like you can't just follow a meal plan. You need to follow like your meal plan. So the whole idea is when you get in then to MyFitnessPal, you have your numbers. You go over to the meal diary. The meal diary, you just start entering food. Just play with it. So many people are afraid to just push buttons, but like just enter foods you like. If you know there's a specific like chicken that you get all the time, like go to the freezer, go to the fridge, use the barcode scanner, scan it, and just enter it in there. Start playing around with amounts. And the best thing that you can do is mess with it for 30 minutes to an hour, because that 30 minutes to an hour will make you smarter about nutrition for you specifically than any other time that you'll spend with like nutrition, because we don't realize how much amounts equal how much amounts. And when we start talking about macros, so many people, they're like, oh, I eat like 1,200 calories. And you actually figure it out when they start measuring, they eat like 700 or 800 a day. And then you also have the same people that eat like 2,500 calories because they never count the stuff they grab in between the meals. So like, until you know, you don't know. So the biggest thing is you want to take your time right now. Once you know your macros, and you need to familiarize yourself with it. You know, it's like anything else you're trying to do. It's going to be an extremely difficult thing to hit your macro numbers every single day if you don't know what equals what. Okay, so we're going to finish up with like the last like couple minutes here with just macros, but the whole idea is if you are an analytical person, if you are a numbers-based person, if you have everything like logged in your phone's calendar, like MyFitnessPal's for you. If you're not, it's probably not for you. So I could teach it without looking at it. I know it backwards and forwards. I have never completed, I don't think, a single day of a MyFitnessPal log in 7 years of teaching it. I've done it on other people's phones, but I'm like way too ADD to even try and figure that out and spend a day doing that. Like I know what I need to eat. I can figure it out in advance. I like pen and paper to figure everything. And then I go and like, I know my portions ahead of time that way. So to me, I like to know that, and it's my structure, and I know my portion size going in. Other people who want to go to Chili's for a takeout and they want to do a protein bar and they want to be really flexible and they're analytical, then it's like a beautiful harmony. Like Mary Beth, Rhonda, I mean, some of our top people, it's because they use MyFitnessPal like a pro, but it's because they know it and they've sat there and they've played around with portion sizes and things and they've moved stuff around and like they've made it fit for them. And for most of them, it wasn't perfect on the first day and it wasn't even close. But within 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks, they got closer and closer and closer. Again, the whole like, we'll aim for the furthest distance. We'll aim for the big goal. But like, you got to remember, even if you come close with your numbers, even if you know, whatever, it's better than what you were doing before. So the biggest thing is like, you need to know yourself going into this. If you're somebody who's very hard on yourself, you're not very organized, like, don't jump into this. Like maybe use the calculator to figure out your numbers, maybe use some of that stuff, but like intermittent fasting is probably gonna be way better for you, for those people. Like it lets you be like live by the seat of your pants kind of. It lets you make some freer decisions. It lets you kind of be a little bit looser with things. But if you're somebody who likes control and structure, I mean, that's it. Like MyFitnessPal is it. Hey, Michelle, I love that you're there right now. I'm going to unmute you. Can you just give me your MyFitnessPal, like how you love control? Can you unmute there? There you go. Oh, you're muted still. There we go.
Hey.
How are you?
What was your
Welcome.
question? Oh, thanks.
We're talking about the differences, and it's actually so perfect you popped on right there, because guys, that's the difference of us. Like, we are the complete opposite. So Michelle was like the person who loves MyFitnessPal, and she likes to be like structured and eats a very similar thing.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I guess go ahead and like, how does it help you?
I just found with MyFitnessPal, it's almost like just going on autopilot. You know, it takes the thought process out of everything. I'm the type too that I would actually plan my food the night ahead and put my food in for the following day, so I knew exactly where I was falling for like my fats, carbs, and protein. So like what Derek was saying, how it wasn't his jam, and keeping track that way, for me, I found it super beneficial. Like he said, though, you just have to go on and play with it. I like the fact, too, if I knew maybe I was going to have lunch at a not so whatever, at a Chili's, and I didn't want to eat the best, I could play around with my numbers for the day, and then, you know, maybe not eat as many carbs in the morning with my breakfast, because I knew I was going to have a lot more carbs with my lunch, or vice versa for dinner. So like he said, don't be afraid of using it. And even if you find, you know, the first couple weeks use it and then you kind of trail off, it's still though such a great tool when you're first kind of learning your macros. But yeah, I was to the T. And use the scanner. You can't beat it. Just go around and scan everything. It's awesome.
It's like a cashier before there was self-checkout, but yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, the one thing she said is like, it gave her control, it gave her structure, but then like if we got like thrown into a pickle of a restaurant, it was so easy just to search through there and like find the safety net. So it's like one of those things where so many people are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It's like us on your shoulder. Like, that's it. Like, we told you the percentages, we told you the numbers. Like, you don't have to guess whether we'd say yes or no. Like, does it fit? Cool. Like, that's it. But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, am I still unmuted? My other piece of advice would be for people first tracking your macros, like, don't beat yourself up if you go over your numbers and you're not perfect. I mean, again, if this is something you've never done before, you know, it's completely new. But the thing is, you do want to get close to hitting your numbers. You don't want to go over too much, but give yourself a couple weeks to get acclimated and to really understand, you know, what a portion of, you know, rice looks like, or a portion of protein, you know, and that way sorry.
Yeah, no one here has ever measured the half cup portion of cereal that is suggested.
Yeah.
So when you figure out, oh, Mary Beth, way to go, of course. But when you realize you're doing like 3.5 cups for your normal size bowl, and it's like, oh man, that's like 80 carbs. Like, it's your day for some people. And like, you know, that's the thing. It's like, it might ruin your day a few times when you see some of these different things, but it's also a reality check when you need it. You know, sometimes like people say like, oh, I need accountability, or I need numbers, or I need you to write me a diet. And it's like, that's your diet. Like, we give you the numbers, and it's like, that's the best thing you can do, is you write your own diet literally digitally in a living thing. And like, when you nail a perfect day, like, that now becomes your format, that becomes your template. And like, that's something, if you ever fall off track, you just remember, like, you go back to that day and like, you have a perfect meal plan for you, and you just pick right back up. And so the one thing with like Michelle with this sense is like, you know, if you're doing where she would do the same thing every single day. So like for her, like, let's say it was like 6 ounces of chicken, and it was how many egg whites and how much
rice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what the numbers, because she could still recite everything. But like, where she would do that and stick to it, for me, I would say like, well, if I'm doing 8 ounces of chicken, well, I can also substitute that with 8 ounces of turkey, or I can also substitute that and know my numbers ahead of time, but it would work out to be like 6 ounces of ground beef. And when you start to do that, like, to me, I like the flexibility of knowing about where everything was. And to me, like, that's a little bit easier in doing intermittent fasting, because like, I'm a free spirit. That's how I like to be. Anything else with the macro, Shell?
No, just you got to try it. Don't be intimidated. Again, if you want to make changes, if you want to see changes, I mean, I think you've probably heard Derek say enough. Like, you cannot out-train a diet. You cannot outwork a diet. Abs are truly made in the kitchen. So the sooner that you get a hold of your nutrition and tracking it with MyFitnessPal, you know, the easier things become. So, and the bigger changes happen.
It is. And the last note I had is in school, kids have progress reports and report cards. So like they get 4 report cards a year and basically get 4 progress reports in between there. But if you want to think of it in a sense of like once a month or every 2 weeks, set a reminder of like a weigh day or something along those lines. Set a reminder or MyFitnessPal day and just measure and weigh your food for one day. Because sometimes like we set it, we think we know our portion sizes. We're like, oh, I don't have to measure this anymore. And then you do it in a couple weeks and you're like, oh, I've doubled my portions of carbs, but like I'm not eating as much protein. And like, so you tell us you're doing well, but when you actually like, it's just an accountability check. So, you know, if you're not a digital person all the way with using MyFitnessPal all the time, it could also serve as a progress report along the line. And it's something where maybe like it's like just, again, a reality accountability type check-in for yourself with that. So anything you guys have question-wise, always screenshot it, text it over to me. Avoid doing like Messenger because it gets in too many places, but just text it directly to me. If anybody's taking notes and doesn't have my cell, it's 727-810-4005. And I'll repeat that bag, make sure to grab 727-810-4005. Screenshot everything, guys. Send it over. Like, this is what I love to do. Like, and to me, I love helping people like Michelle because I'm a total nerd at heart, and like that lets me nerd out without having to be under the control of the guidance myself. So I like that. All right, so let's get intermittent fasting, which is way more my style. Michelle, I'm gonna mute that. Cool. So fasting, guys, is for the free birds of the group. It provides structure. It provides a daily win every single day. It provides you flexibility with a safety net. So with intermittent fasting, there's a ton of different ways, just like there's a ton of different ways to, you know, diet in general. But like with intermittent fasting, you want to start with a general principle of, you're going to fast for 16 hours and you're going to eat for 8 hours. So we'll define the fasting first. In the strictest form, fasting would be water only. I guess maybe in the strictest form, it would be no water. My level of fasting is I still add a little bit of half and half to my coffee, but it's coffee and water is basically my fast. I've had some people say that they do cucumbers and celery and they count that as their fast. You can define your fast as whatever it is, but there's going to be 2 sides of benefits to intermittent fasting. One is the weight loss side. One is the like extreme health side. Intermittent fasting on the strictest form is like crazy healthy for you because of the benefits on like your blood sugar and just basically like your insulin response to food. My initial start with this, with intermittent fasting, was through a friend, Gus, who some of you guys know. And I had never fasted before. It was something completely new to me. And Michelle will tell you that anytime that I start eating clean, like I wake up in the morning with like morning sickness. Like I have like low blood sugar when I wake up. I'm like a pregnant woman. And I mean, I have morning sickness. Like I like, like, and she can hear it from the other room and she's like, you better drink your shake, you know? And that's how our mornings start. So, well, previous. So when I get to those points though, the one thing intermittent fasting has done is like, that never happens. So now, like today, I think it was like 1 o'clock, 1:30 before we had our first bit of food in my system. No, I take that back. I did have an apple this morning, but like most days I can go to 2 or 3 or whatever, and I have no issue with it now. And so it's a situation to where like, it's not always going to be easy for you in the beginning, but you got to remember, are you doing it for the health benefit? Or are you doing it for the weight loss benefit? And one of the ways to get into it, and maybe get into the little bit more extreme method of it, is you start with it for the weight loss purpose of it. So if you're using it for the weight loss side, like how I said, is like, if I use a little bit of half and half, I'm maybe taking in whatever, maybe 50 calories. I'm taking in whatever, 8 grams of fat, 7 grams of fat, something like that. If that's all I have for a 16-hour period, it's way better than what I would have done previously. So that's where on the flexibility side, like if you're using it for the weight loss side, cool. Like you just bought yourself a deficit over that time. The other side of it, if you're using it for the health benefit side, for the blood sugar benefits, for like the human growth hormone, for the like just kind of all the internal healing stuff that intermittent fasting is supposed to help with, you need to do it with just water or water and lemon. I've heard some people do tea, but think of it this way. You can go into your day and think of it like, I'm going to do it for the most strictest possible purpose. I'm going to do it for my healthiest, benefit. And if you decide you want to pull over for a Starbucks or a Dunkin', just don't add sugar, okay? So the biggest thing for me with the intermittent fasting is don't spike your blood sugar. Put 0 bit of sugar in your system. Don't put fruit, not an apple slice, not a berry, not a whatever. Just keep your blood sugar as low as possible for 16 hours out of the day. That would kind of be the biggest benefit as far as on the weight loss side. So I think with that, I'm always the one, again, Shelly always says like, love yourself, forgive yourself. But like, I guess that's for me, like, that's where I always want to have wins for the day. So it's like, okay, if I didn't spike my blood sugar at all for 16 hours, but I had my coffee or whatever it was, and like, that was my win, like, it's awesome, like, cool, like, that's great. So again, remember what your goal and your intention is going into it. So the 16-hour fast, that's that part of it. Be as strict as you want, the more strict, the better. Now, during your 8 hours, that's the fun part. That's where we get to eat. The biggest thing with starting intermittent fasting, and Shelly will tell you, we started with doing actually like a 48-hour fast, and it was awesome. And then we ate like 3 meals in one sitting for the first meal back. Not really, but we had a shake first, and then we did that. But the whole idea is like, you need to go into intermittent fasting with the goal of weight loss as at least the bare minimum. The goal isn't just taking 16 hours off of eating and then just eat like garbage, okay? So remember, at the bare minimum, if it's not the complete health benefits, weight loss is your bottom goal. So when you're coming out of your fast, like the best thing you can do is a little bit of fruit and a little bit of protein. That would be the greatest thing to get just a little bit of a blood sugar spike, get some fiber, get some nutrition, but then also the protein to help keep it stable and obviously just get that metabolism going again. Remember, we're sustaining life. So even when we're doing an intermittent fast, like we want to still, how fast can our body use the nutrition, in order to sustain life? Like you want to remember, like, how can we come out of this and be as healthy as possible for the best thing in our system? So I would say fruit and some sort of protein. After that, vegetables would probably be a great place to start. With intermittent fasting, if you want to make some mistakes, it's that second meal, third meal. If you want to have a bigger late lunch, if you want to have a bigger 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock dinner or something, if that works for your schedule, do it. But then whatever your last meal is at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever your last meal set is, that needs to be a lot cleaner and leaner. So like if you're looking at something along the lines of like, you have like a burger and fries at the second meal, you need to have it like clean in the late meal, but it also needs to be like lean cuts of meat. Like you can't be having ground beef before bed, letting that sit heavy in your stomach. It can't be a ribeye before, like you can't throw greasy food and all that kind of stuff. So you want to keep it really lean as you get towards your last meal. But your middle meal is where you kind of make that sandwich of like good meal, kind of mess up a little bit, good meal. And it really, if you actually track the macros, you're always going to be way under what you're supposed to eat for the day. But that's the goal of intermittent fasting. That's the benefit, is you're creating a built-in deficit. Marianne, you unmuted. Do you have a question? Just happened. Oh, I muted you.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So that's the basic overview of the 8 hours while you're eating. So I would say you try and break it up into 3 kind of eating meals. There can still be snacks in between there. The goal, again, is to sustain your life in the best possible and healthy way. So the whole goal is like, if you then go from, let's say 9 p.m. is your last meal, 3 hours to midnight, that gives you till what? Then you have another 15. So your first meal then would be at 1 p.m. the next day. Is that realistic for your schedule? Do you like having a snack up until 9? Can you make it till 1 before lunch? So you start looking at those things. No, then you back it back down. Like if it was like a 6 a.m. or like Jeannie Johnson, I think she goes to sleep kind of early. So her last meal might be at 6 p.m. So if her last meal is at 6 p.m., that means she can eat a whole lot sooner. 12 hours puts her at, so by 10 o'clock the next day, she's back eating. So like, this is where intermittent fasting works for you. And it's like, it's a built-in diet within a diet. It basically lets you be a little bit freer. You have to abstain from certain windows. Yes, Loretta? Go ahead and unmute. Yeah, I don't think I had control of yours. Ooh. Damn thing won't unmute. Let me see if I can get you now. No.
Okay.
There we go.
So I've been doing the intermittent fast for 8 hours, but with my work schedule and working out, I go to work at 8:30. I get home at 4:30. So I eat my lunch like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then I don't eat till the next day at that time after 8 o'clock at night.
Can
But
we?
I'm not eating.
Yeah, can you go back real quick? Can you give me AMs and PMs? I think
I
I
go to
lost
work
it.
I get up at like 6:30 every day. Can't help it.
AM.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I go to work at 8:30, but I don't eat until like 12:30.
Cool. That's great.
And with work and then coming home, I can't eat before I go to boot camp. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
So I'm only eating 2 meals a day, really. So could that be part of my problem?
Yeah, I would track your actual macros then and get an idea of where you are.
I literally like eat like chicken and maybe some rice for lunch and sometimes a small salad, or I eat a tuna salad, and then I come home and I eat chicken again with
after boot camp.
After boot camp, yeah.
What's
And
your
that's
workout
like
time? Are you 4:30 or 6:15?
6:15 because I don't get home from work till 5 o'clock. So I
there
can't
should be
eat.
some sort of like mid-afternoon then, like snack or refuel, even if it's like something as simple as like, I would say if it's that close to your workout, it should be a little bit lighter, but even if it's like Greek yogurt and berries, or if it was like a protein shake with an apple on your way to the, well, not on the way to
What
your
are the
workout,
best protein shakes to get? Like there's so many out there. I used to do Shakeology and I love it, but it's just so expensive.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's Shelley and I were just talking about that today, and it's one of the things that a lot of people had asked for, like links of like products that we recommend or endorse. And the problem is like the prices have just like jumped. Like protein used to be like maybe $50 for a 5-pound tub a couple years ago, and like most of them are like $80, $90, and it's like if you commit and you're 1 scoop in and you don't like that flavor, like you're screwed. You got 70 more scoops to go. So yeah, we're trying to like really make sure that like we like the products, but like tried and true that all of our clients pretty much over the years have liked is Rule 1. And Rule 1, and let me
where do you
see
get
if
that
I can pull this up. Really, Amazon. So we're building a page right now with the links of like bands, some different at-home workout products, supplements, and different things, and that will be on there. But I'm going to share this link in the support page later on tonight whenever it like downloads all the way. I'll add that link into the bottom of it. There's 2 types. So with the protein shakes, and I really think guys, like that is drinking more water and protein shakes are like 2 of the easiest things you can do to like change your skin, change your body composition, like change your workout recovery, like change your strength. Like it sounds so simple, and it's not a miracle pill, and you won't notice it. It's when you stop taking it that you notice. You're like, holy shit, I used to be strong. You know, so it's nothing that like you're going to expect to see something like magical. It's like when people say B12 gives you energy. Like if you're expecting it to be a Red Bull, it's never going to be. But it's something like it's going to happen over time. So like I think that's the one thing is like with protein, it used to be a whole lot easier when there wasn't COVID stuff. But like if somebody wanted to try a protein, I mean, you'd ask on the support page and you'd have like, 10 samples waiting on the shelf for you. I just don't know if people want to do that right now. It just seems kind of odd, but I'll tell you, Rule 1 is going to be the way to go. And again, there's 2 blends. One is called WPI. I think it is WPI. It's whey protein isolate. And the other one's WPC, I believe, and it's for whey protein concentrate. The difference of the 2 is like $10 in price. The quality of the 2, it's very similar, but it's just like it's the better of the 2 twins, Nicole. How do I say that right? I don't know. It's like they're both whey protein. One just has basically, it's like a little bit cleaner, has a little bit less cholesterol, has a little bit less carbs in it, a little less bloat after you have it. So it's
and
just
which one is that?
That's the whey protein isolate.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll tag both. I heard somebody.
It's me. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
No, it's
bless
great.
you.
Please.
I was just gonna say though, for now though, I would just worry about just getting a protein. It doesn't matter about the isolate or if it's regular, correct, Derek? I mean.
Yeah, but the flavor, I mean, when you try the first one, you're gonna probably like the isolate, I would say, better. And then if it becomes where like either budget wise or just taste wise or whatever, you want to try the other one. We actually have 2 tubs of the concentrate right now. I don't know if I bought it on accident, if I bought it intentional, but like I'm loving it. And so I think I'm going to buy it again. So I would always say start with the better, and then you can try a little bit, like, lesser quality. Oh, Nicole, you raised your hand?
Yeah, sometimes you can go to their websites too and order sample packets where they'll send
that's
you.
great.
Yeah, they'll send you like a variety pack of 1 serving of all different flavors. So that's what I usually do because I'm really picky about what I like. So
I love that. Hey, Nicole, I'm going to contact Jason from Hardbody and get his Rule 1 rep. Can I have you contact them to see if we can get like samples for clients?
yeah.
That would be like the coolest thing ever. I never even thought of that. Marianne, I saw you shake your head. Have you done that before? Oh, you're muted, but I just heard you. I have. I have,
Yes. I have,
See?
when Hardbody was open, Jason used to give me samples a lot.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, but I can tell you that I've tried numerous ones, and there's only 2 flavors that I can really like, and it's the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla.
Of which brand?
The Rule 1 protein, and I do the one that's got that's lactose intolerant, so I think that's the isolate, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the like $10, $11 more expensive one. Yep. So, and again, that's a great point, Loretta. Like, if you are lactose intolerant, if you have any digestive issues, if you have anything, like, don't even mess around. They go for the isolate, and that's always why I say start with that one. The worst thing you want to do is start with maybe a little bit lesser quality protein, fart up a storm, like basically blow everybody out of your house and say protein doesn't work for me because you never use it. So always start with the better one and go backwards.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention too, really, I don't know how much the Shakeology is, but you do get what you pay for in the protein world. The cheaper the protein, the more fillers it's going to have, probably the texture, it's going to be chalky, it's not going to sit well. So that is one thing, even though protein is expensive, it really is a lot easier on your digestive if you buy a higher quality protein as opposed to, you know, a cheap Walmart brand, because you'll never probably want to drink protein shakes after that if you try them.
Sometimes they taste like meat.
With the Shakeology, Loretta?
Yes.
40 pounds. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So
In
here's
3
the thing.
months.
Yeah, so
In 3
here's the cool,
months.
like, I love Google, and my biggest thing, like, anytime somebody asks like about a product, like, I don't know, like, it's the whole world is who can use Google faster, but that's basically it. Like, I Google the label, like, look at what their first ingredient is. Is it whey protein isolate? Is it concentrate? And that'll give you a great, like, at least basis to then pick your next protein. I want to say Shakeology is like 70 to 80. I want to say somebody said before, but like, you're going to be looking, I think, like 50 to 60. We have no affiliation, like we have nothing with it. It's just, it's a product a lot of people have liked. There used to be a store around us that sold it. They spent a lot of years trying to convince me, and I actually really like it now. So
I have one more thing.
please, like, that's what we're here for.
I haven't been measured or weighed at the center yet. So, and I've been going for 2 months, and I ask often, but I always seem to catch Ashley at her when she's running in and out.
Gotcha.
So I would like to get measured because I know that I've lost inches.
She's going to have a lap for every week that you're a client and you haven't been measured. Ashley's going to have a lap tomorrow. Like, that's unacceptable.
No, don't tell her
like
it was
that.
me. Don't tell her it was me.
No, I am going to tell her. So you haven't met Hunter, one of our trainers, but like, she was notoriously just always late. There's always a reason. It was like, oh, the wind blew a different way. I wasn't ready. So it started to be where every minute she was late, she had to do a lap. So I think it'll be great. Ashley used to enforce that rule. I think we can enforce this on her. Has anybody else not been measured while we're at it? Let's go ahead and start adding up any laps. Doug, have you been measured? I hope it's a no. No, I really hope he does. Oh, yeah. All right. So
There we go. No, I have not been measured. I haven't like done anything. I've only met Ashley. I only met Ashley once, and I gotta admit, my job had made me not do boot camp. I've been getting out of work super late.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a paramedic in Pinellas County.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so.
Thank you. Exactly. Yes.
So basically, with this whole COVID explosion, we're getting our ass kicked, for lack of a better term.
I'm sure.
So, like, my shift is 4:45 in the morning to 4:45 in the afternoon. If I get out, that get out on time. I'm out in Largo. If they get out on
Okay.
time, I can make it to boot camp. If they get out 15 minutes late, I mentioned, like today, I was looking forward to going boot camp. Got out late. I just had enough time to log on to this meeting.
Okay.
So
have you created your account yet for the LiveFit University to see the pre-recorded workouts?
I have not. Excuse me. I'm looking to get more involved, to do the university, to do the app that you talked about. But for me, I'm one of those people that need to be sat down, shown how to do everything, and then go. I need that structure, like somebody else mentioned. You know, sit down, this is what you have to do, this is what you do, and kind of go from there. So I don't know if I can like meet with somebody or whatever.
Yeah, since nobody else is listening right now, I'll just say I'll be that person. I'm going to reach out to you privately, and we'll set up a time where it's just you and I doing a Zoom thing. That way we can like go over what you need.
Perfect. Awesome.
Besides Loretta, oh no, I guess Tajma too. I might be getting myself in trouble, but Marianne and everybody else, I've met with you guys before. So, but yeah, no, we'll make that happen. That's one of the biggest things I'll tell you, Doug, that's missing is like the interaction. My baby's walking, well, not walking in the background, but my wife is walking with our baby in the background. But like, we're staying out of the gym. We're staying out of every place. Like, we're basically like isolated and like bunkered down. So I'm definitely missing that experience with the new clients of like spending that sit down time. So that's something we definitely need to like start to incorporate again. But yeah, I'll make sure we get that scheduled soon.
Yeah, and I tell you, no, I'm fairly new.
Let's blame Ashley on the measurements though. I'm not gonna accept anything else on that one. It's ridiculous.
If you want to blame her, go ahead. I get enough blame for a lot of stuff. What's one more thing?
I mean, Nicole, it's not your job, right? Kathy, it's not yours. Like, I think it's only one person to look at. I think we're pretty set on that one, Doug.
I do go 4 times a week.
Yeah, I mean that's not often enough, I guess, for her to get with you. So I guess you're not being convenient enough for her.
Well, sorry, I'm busy saving lives. What can I say?
No, don't take the blame, Doug. Don't take the blame. All right.
No,
so
we love when we can blame Ashley.
No. So we're gonna. I'm writing a note. Ashley Labs. So it's gonna be Doug plus Loretta, and I love that it was like in front of other people that get to see this. Because she loves giving laps to Hunter. Not measure. Oh my God, Mary Beth. No, it'll be body fat and weight only for right now, guys. Because like we're not doing measurements, but like yes, it'll be body fat and weight. But that'll also give you your lean body mass, so you can do your calories and all the other stuff with that. Yeah, and that's why we're here, obviously today. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to confuse that, Mary Beth. I knew I would have. See, you won most literal, didn't you?
Huh?
Or was it April? Did you win literal, or was that April? The most literal for the
April
superlatives?
won. I was nominated.
It should have been you. I think I actually probably nominated you, but anyway. All right, so guys, again, remember this whole thing today, and actually let me just, I think we're muted here. Cool, so remember with this, guys, we started with just make healthier choices. Like tomorrow, if your intention is to count macros or your intention is to fast, and you end up eating fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and maybe a serving or two of some healthier carb options. And when I say healthy, just not fried, like that's a win for the day. So like embrace when like you don't mess up. Like sometimes it's just as good of a win, because remember, like your workout is your equalizer. Like it's never going to offset and put you in the positive of like losing weight, but it's what gets you at least to break even. And then your nutrition and the combination of like your workout using your nutrition is what synergistically, I guess, works together. Like you're never going to get there with just a workout. Like it's all about that fuel. But when you actually start doing the fuel every single day, and then like Doug, you find the consistency in 3 weeks, in 2 weeks, or it's all when those two roads meet. And then you're like, yeah, I don't know, everything just started happening. Everything started falling off. And like, what you didn't realize is like, you kind of built up like the course and you built up the momentum. So like, remember, if tomorrow is just about healthier choices, cool. If tomorrow you make it 15 hours of fasting and you don't make it to 16 an hour, cool. Like it's all a learning process, but like we never figure anything out the first time. But yet for some reason with nutrition, people think if they don't figure out the first 2-3 days, like, it didn't work for me. That's stupid. Like it's same with like protein. Just like Loretta said, there's like, we're trying to research brands to like endorse. Like this is something we've actively been doing for like 2 weeks. I mean, I've been reading labels nonstop, pricing and everything. Like we're trying to provide the best thing for you guys. And it's like, it's such a confusing market. But like, if you try one and you don't like it and you say protein doesn't work for you, you're stupid. You don't care. You don't want it. Like, it's not about it. You're making an excuse. Like, that's a roadblock. Like, pawn it off to somebody who will take your other 20 something servings and like buy another tub. Like, because the biggest thing is like, if 20 or 30 bucks or whatever it is like holding you back from like doing that one cool tool or that one thing that's going to help aid you, like, you know, find another way. But again, like it's such a important thing to remember that like, it might not always be fasting. It might not always be macros. It might not always be the same shake. Like, there's going to be things that come up, and just remember, it's always about that healthy choice. Like, don't let that one roadblock be that thing that holds you back, because like every single person here is smart. Every single person here makes great decisions on a daily basis, but like we use emotion always when it comes to nutrition. And it's like one of the most important things for our body on a daily basis. So like, just remember at the end of the day, like, fuel it better. Remember the definition of metabolism. Dopeness. And don't be stupid. Any final questions? We'll open it up if anybody needs anything. Guys, this will be every Monday night as long as yoga stays full on Tuesday nights. So I need all of you to attend yoga on Tuesday night so I can keep my Monday night. Like, I've wanted Monday night nutrition now for like the existence of yoga. So I have it back now temporarily. So the only way we're going to keep this is if we keep Tuesday night yoga busy. So please help me.
I have a question.
Fair? Oh, damn it. Yes. No,
I
I'm just
know.
kidding.
Come on. Did you think you were going to get away without it?
No, I love it. I knew
when
I'd have a literal comment from Mary Beth, and of course I'd have a question from you, Mary. Stop
when
it.
I am, oh, look, my cat's coming. Sorry. When I'm doing MyFitnessPal, it always
Yes.
seems that I'm over in my fats. No matter what I do, I'm over in my fats. So I don't know how to counteract that, because I don't eat fried foods. I don't eat a lot of fatty stuff. I don't eat a lot of snacks.
Let's go question 1, 2, 3. Have you lost or gained or stayed the same recently?
I lost. In fact, my measurements that are in MyFitnessPal, I don't think the last ones were accurate. So I was
Okay.
going to see if I could have somebody enter what I was told and then work from that.
Do you think it was entered wrong, or you're saying? Because that could be more laps for Ashley. If you
Correct. Yeah, I just think she
Wow.
entered it wrong. I think she entered one of the wrong measurements, and that's okay. I mean, you know, when she's dealing with all of us, it's going to happen.
We're gonna have to like how
Get her
it's
in
like
trouble, no
Karen
one
the
to pick
manager.
on her.
We're gonna have to have an Ashley the manager frame like by the office door.
I love Ashley. Don't pick on her.
So yeah, I would start with like, did you like win, lose, or draw? Like, so if you've been losing, like that's a good thing. We need to make sure the measurements were like you actually lost fat, not muscle. So as long as those two things happen in order, so like that would be the next thing. Did you lose, you know, muscle, or did you lose fat? As long as you lost fat, then that's where you start a bump up in your caloric intake. So you can do it a number of different ways, but like I would just go up, as long as you're not in a hurry, but like go up 150 calories this week. Follow that, see where your weight went up or down. You don't have to test your body fat every week. It's too hard to really keep that accurate that close. But then you just do that, add another 150. And so like 2 weeks from now, you're up 300 calories. And so if like 25% of your nutrition is coming from fat, well, then you're up another 9, 10, 11 grams of fat. So it's something where like, it's trial by error. So like where we all start with 11 calories per gram of lean pound, like what if your perfect number is 12 or 13 or 14 or 15? You know, it's again, it's where we start. So like we start with the number that we know you're going to lose with, but that's normally the case. Is like the leaner people get, the longer they're with us, like you have to eat more to keep that weight loss going. It's not the other way around. You don't eat less, you have to eat more. It's fueling the fire.
My body fat went up tremendously. So once I stopped working out, and I told Ashley I ate 12 pints of ice cream from March until she weighed me. So
well,
you know, work has not been fun, Derek. Work in the funeral home. Talk about paramedics. I get them after you're done with them, Mr. Paramedic.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem, not a solution.
Hey, I can't save everybody, you know. That's what it is.
Hey, she's in.
And I got to keep you in business.
Doug just keeps taking blame for everything.
I am supporting you.
You keep taking blame, Doug. Now it's her. She's in Pasco. Don't take that. No, so here's the whole thing. you build up, Marianne, and so that's really it. And like that's the other part too, is like if you notice you're becoming more sedentary, then like maybe you start pulling, like instead of it being 25% carbohydrates, you bump it back to 20 and you bump your fats up to 30%, and then maybe bump it back to 50. Like see how you feel by doing it. But just like just like I'm saying, like tonight, just experiment and go through and like keep changing the numbers and find like your perfect day. It's the same thing. Like you might have to find like your perfect macro breakdown too. Like you might get into workouts and feel like a fierce animal at 6:15 p.m. after a long ass day by doing 30% fat because it keeps your energy more sustained. Where right now you're doing 25% and you're crashing at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you don't even have enough energy to make it to 6:15.
Right.
And so yeah, just making it there is a struggle. And then to put out like the output is, you know, it's one of those things when you show up energized, you actually stretch, you warm up, like you feel good. Like it's so, you know, that might be the option there.
No,
Did you have one more thing? Because I was
that even with the fat being over, I still continue to lose. So that's why I was just, you know, like you just said, mess with it and see what works best. Don't stick with that. It has to be that 25% is what I'm hearing you say. So
yeah, you might have actually just answered yourself. You can go to the weekly totals. Maybe look at what your weekly totals have been and average it over the last 4 weeks and just put those exact macros into the percentages, like figure out what it is, because now you have your exact perfect meal plan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, if you have 21 days of data divided by 21 and you'll know your exact grams of protein, carbs, fat of what you've done over the last 21 days and like, boom, you have the perfect Marianne plan and it rhymes.
Yes, and it works.
Yeah.
It works. I just want to say to everybody who's just starting, you'll get to know after a while what you need to eat at what meals as far as proteins and carbs go. And like Derek said, when your best time for your carbs is individual, it's up to you. You know, some people it's in the middle of the day, some people it's first thing in the morning. Just depends on what your activity level is. And for some people, it's right before they work out. So don't get frustrated like I was at the beginning, right, Dee?
Exactly. And I guess it's a perfect segue to what I was just looking at. But like, guys, we have an awesome team. Like every person has followed macros and knows this stuff. But like, I just got a message up here from Nicole that she already sent Doug the LiveFit University stuff. But like, guys, like, we're ready to help. Like, let us know what to do. Like, you got to remember the gym's open for like this and this, but like, there's a lot of time throughout the rest of like, you know, life that we're here to help. So like, ask questions. Like, it's all about screenshots. Send us information, send us data. Like, it's, the more you reach out to one of us for help, the chance that you're going to have help from like 7 of us, you know? So it's only to your benefit. So just ask for help, mess up, and then figure out how you can make the mistake better. Loretta, I think you had your hand up, or was it Mary Beth? I saw. Oop. You're muted, Loretta.
Okay.
You got like hacker protection. I can't unmute you.
I want to know where I find this at, because I've never even heard of this little chart thingy.
In MyFitnessPal you're talking about?
Yeah.
Ooh, perfect. Hold on.
Is it on the app that's on the phone?
Yeah, okay, so a couple different things. Like, are you on LiveFit University yet?
I don't think so. I'm just on the regular app.
Well, Nicole's going to send it to you. Once you log into that, there's going to be a tile that says fitness apps. Click on that, and MyFitnessPal's in there. You can also just search it in your Apple store or your Android store. But what it is, just show you real quick. Looks kind of like that, but it's loading. All right, so like when you first open it, it's just gonna have like a basic, oops, where are we at? Home screen with advertisements. That's not what you wanna use. So the whole thing is like, on this, you're gonna mess with 2 sections. There's gonna be one spot that says goals. This is not as easy as it looks. So there's gonna be a spot that says goals, which is like a target right here. So in that spot, then you click on your it says calorie, carbs, protein, and fat goals. Like it's the only one you can click on with the free program. And when you click on that, it gives you a scrolling slider. Wrong way. Right. I'm struggling with this.
I can't see it anyway, so.
It doesn't look good. I'm looking at it. It looks horrible. It's a total flop. But anyway, it's like a slot machine. Like it's like you have 3 scrollers and it has to equal 100%. So you start messing with the percentages of protein, carbs, fat. And again, we start with 50%. So just think half protein and then half of what's left is carbs and fats. So you start with that. Yeah. Nicole, there's the link. 7 steps to use MyFitnessPal, I think it is. If you could send that to her, that would be really cool. So there's a blog that we wrote that shows you how to do that. And I believe there might even be a video or 2 that we have that shows you that as well. But yeah, I guess that'll be next Monday. Like next Monday, is that cool? MyFitnessPal, everybody? because I can use Zoom. I can build a perfect day right here in Zoom.
Do I have to have like my body fat count and stuff like that to start that? Would that help?
Yeah, because Ashley will have another lap by next week, so hell yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
hope I
and
get in there before next week, though.
So the other app is Fit Clients. That's where all your measurements are kept. So all this stuff is on the LiveFit University. So just get your LiveFit University account. There's an app section. It'll have all the stuff that you need. It also has Tribe where you like reserve for your workouts. Just a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's really like a useful all-in-one tool. So, but yeah, I love that. Like, let's do MyFitnessPal next Monday. And like, I guess that's kind of it, guys. We'll pick the next topic based on the questions you provide us during the week. So mess up at shit, try stuff, like do what you think is right. And then if it doesn't work, like tell us about it. And the more you tell us about it, like that's how we're going to have these topics and make this as useful as possible. Cool. Guys,
Yeah,
I think that's a
I
success.
just sent everything to Loretta's phone. So you should have, I just spammed your phone with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's where we need to finish with this, guys. Like, this isn't just like infotainment of like, let's hang out and like, let's just listen to stuff and not apply it. So like, we were doing the coffee with coach, and I don't know how many people were doing the coffee with coach with us, but like we gave a marching order and action step, like on one week. And then the next week, like we were following up, like, did you do this, this, and this? So like use the information, ask the questions during the week, but like, don't be shy next week. But I'm also going to ask you about this week's stuff and ask you the questions and some of the things like we learned today. Like, it's the only way we're going to get better. So like, just like how Marianne said, like, you'll get to learn these different things. Like, you'll get to learn my personality, but to me, like, challenging you and really like the more we learn and yes, have fun with it, but also at the same time, like apply it. Like, guys, you're going to get so good at it that even when you mess up, you're still doing so much better than like your previous life before us. So like the biggest thing is like, listen to it, use it, make mistakes, ask questions, but then like, you know, really actually apply all the information that we're using, because I'm going to ask you about it. Fun stuff. Right, Mary Beth? Yes, 30-something pounds down.
To anybody who's starting MyFitnessPal, just do what you normally eat and put it in there and see what your numbers come up at to start. And then
That's exactly
you don't want what I normally eat in there.
But Doug, you know, the best part about that is all you have to do is change one thing. If you do something consistently bad, all you have to do is change one thing in that whole day, and like you're going to see results for 4 to 6 weeks. And then we just got to worry about the next thing in 4 to 6 weeks. But it might be like, instead of 2 full sugar Red Bulls and whatever else, it might just be like 1 and 1 diet one. Where about, you know, so it's like there's a lot of things, like people always think it's got to be crazy. Like I love changing one thing and you telling me it's not going to work and it does, and then we change another thing, and like that's the fun part, man. Like, don't change your life, change one thing.
My husband lost.
Well, we're gonna have to get together and work on that.
Soda.
What was it, Nicole?
Jeff lost 20 pounds just when he stopped drinking soda, Coke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Doug, and you're a guy too, so like you have the advantage of your first like 15 to 20 are easy. It's after that we struggle. For ladies, the first 15 to 20 is impossible, and then they hit that like stride, and then it becomes like easy. But it's so hard. Like, guys can crash diet very well, where ladies don't. Ladies need the structure and control, it seems, because like the hormones that you guys or that ladies face compared to guys facing is like a complete impossible battle. Like, as soon as you hit like that premenopausal or whatever, like, guys, you have to work double as hard as like Doug and I do. And I'm not trying to put it whatever, but like, it's a very tough thing. But once you get that momentum going, you guys lose so much faster than guys. Like, look at the percentage of guys versus ladies. Like, guys can do the quick thing, but it's like, it's actually that longevity and consistency of why you guys always win out. So just remember, like, yeah, Doug, you might lose fast in the beginning, but like, just stick it out, you know, keep going, buddy. It's and don't brag about it too much in the beginning, because the ladies don't like hearing about it.
Yeah, and then Ashley will be chasing me while she does the laps.
Yeah, because she won't get your measurements done. But yeah, guys, remember, everybody loses at a different pace. Like, that hormone thing's a big thing. Like, guys versus ladies or whatever, like, guys will always lose it fast in the first couple of days with a soda change or those type things. But it really, like, once like you get past that first hurdle, like, ladies have the big transformations. You know, it's always that way. Like, guys have the fast like 30-day ones, but like it's never the big ones. You know, we had Sharon on here to start. Like, she's down 180 pounds. Like, she's over 70. Like, she's never lost more than 5 pounds in any month. Like, she's the most consistent. She's the turtle in the hair. Like, she's it. Like, you know, it's slow and steady wins the race. Change one thing tomorrow, eat a little bit better. And if it happens to be because of macros, intermittent fasting, or something we talked about today, then like, share it. And if you messed up with something, share it too. But we're going to help fix it. All right, guys, we're going to end this. I'm 9 minutes past. I think an hour would be an awesome time to stay with them. But like, this is great. We'll do MyFitnessPal next week. Any questions you have, like, guys, like, we have a lot of time between now and then to make a lot of mistakes. Like, please message us. Like, use us, abuse us, right, Nicole? Sounds awful. All right, guys, have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you guys.